Streaming live from the National Association of Certified Public Accountants in Education, this is the second Joint National Accountancy Research Summit and Conference with the theme Limitless World of Filipino CPAs, Rising in Solidarity Amidst Challenging Times through Accounting Research. We are seen live not only via Zoom but also via NACPAE Facebook Live. This event is made possible through the partnership and generosity of the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA, the PICPA Foundation Incorporated, and the National Association of Certified Public Accountants in Education, NACPAE. Before we begin, here are some friendly reminders to ensure a smooth flow of the proceedings. Mute your microphone and turn off your camera throughout the webinar. Avoid using the chat box for non-essential comments and pleasantries, including chatting with other persons while the webinar is ongoing. Raise your questions about the webinar topic through the Q&A button. You may also like the questions of fellow attendees which you would wish to be answered. Be prepared. Participants may not be able to re-enter the webinar once disconnected. Thus, ensure that your device has a fully sufficient charged battery, a charger is readily available, and your internet connection is stable. Moreover, we encourage you to close any running notifications or applications to avoid experiencing internet disruptions or video lagging. Please be aware that attendees' time in session or the amount of time spent in this webinar is strictly being monitored. Furthermore, attendees' active participation in the poll questions to be given during the webinar and submission of duly accomplished evaluation forms at the end of the webinar are conditions or requirements for earning a certificate of attendance. All questions may be launched at any point during our webinar, so we encourage attendees' undivided attention. Evaluation link will be provided through the chat box at the end of the session. Alternatively, upon clicking Leave Webinar, you will be directed to the evaluation link. Certificate of attendance, together with the available materials from the resource speakers, shall be sent to your email after the event. Let us welcome your host and Master of Ceremonies, Professor Geoffrey M. Alahar, DBA, Editor-in-Chief, Journal of Accountancy and Business, Executive Director, San Beda Alumni Association, San Beda University. Let us give him a round of applause.
Glorious and pleasant Monday morning to one and all. And as one family, let us be united in mind and heart as we are led in prayer by Miss Christine Greenfield.
Let us all feel the presence of the Almighty as we make the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, this is the day you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It doesn't look like we thought it would look, nor will tomorrow and the days to come likely be executed in the way we expected and prepared for. Help us to see the good in each day. Help us to find reasons to rejoice and ways to smile. Litter our lives with moments of laughter and lightheartedness, even in these extremely dark and trying times. We are created in your image, God, to do good and great things, to bring glory to your name. Each one of us, both professionals and students, was created with a specific purpose. Help teachers to have confidence in their craft. They were meant to teach, educate, coach, counsel, and lead. They are needed, appreciated, and loved. Their work and their efforts are never in vain. When it is hard to see the good, grab our attention, Father. When we are sad and miss school, our normal routine and our teammates and coaches encourage our spirits. Sustain us through our very real fear of what is and will happen in our world, God. Remind us we are not alone, even when we feel isolated. Thank you, Father, for technology allowing many students to continue their education online, for virtual classrooms and technological resources. Thank you for every teacher and educator adjusting to their new normal. Comfort them as they miss interacting with their students in person. Equip them with energy and inspiration to come alongside their students in this challenging time of crisis. Protect their health, Father, both physically and mentally. Encourage them to use their gifts and talents to find new ways to reach students. For the administrators and staff of our schools, we pray blessing over their lives and their livelihood. May the leaders of our schools be blessed with wisdom and energized to inspire their staff in this difficult time. May the needs of students be seen, and God, we pray your provision to meet those needs. Our youth may not have the years of wisdom many of their teachers, counselors, and educators have from living more life on this earth than they. Our prayer today, Father, is that our teachers and educators will comfort and spur on their students. May the hope of Jesus Christ be with each one of us. Because it is through the hope of Jesus we can be assured somewhere, sometime, somehow, there is light at the end of this dark tunnel we traverse. You know our needs, Father. You know the heart of everyone in this research summit and conference. Be our guide, Father. Show us who needs help, how to help, and sustain and provide for us. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
We give honor to our country as we sing the Philippine National Anthem. As one community of professionals, let us renew our commitment to the accountancy profession by joining Dr. Jackie Moreno as she leads us in reciting the oath of a certified public accountant.
Oath of a certified public accountant. As a certified public accountant, I shall comply with the following principles of my profession. Integrity. I shall be straightforward and honest in all my professional and business relationships. Objectivity. I shall not allow bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others to override my professional or business judgment. Professional competence and due care. I shall maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required to ensure that my client or employer receive competent professional services based on current developments in practice, legislation, and techniques, and I shall act diligently and in accordance with applicable technical and professional standards. Confidentiality. I shall respect the confidentiality of information acquired as a result of my professional and business relationship. I shall not disclose any such information to third parties without proper and specific authority, unless there is a legal or professional right or duty to disclose, and I shall not use information for my personal advantage or those of third parties. Professional behavior. I shall actively lead, participate, and promote the programs and activities of my professional organization. I shall comply with relevant laws and regulations, and I shall avoid any action that will discredit the profession of accountancy in the Philippines. I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God.
A pleasant morning once again to one and all. I am very honored to serve as your hosts during this first day of the second joint National Accountancy Research Summit and Conference with the theme Limitless World of Filipino CPAs, Rising in Solidarity Amidst Challenging Times through Accounting Research. And we are conducting this for free via Zoom. Welcome to all participants from the various sectors. And to formally welcome you all to this very important event, we call on Dr. Florence C. Tugas, the chairman of the PICPA Research Committee and president of the National Association of CPAs in Education.
Thank you, Dr. Alahar. To our keynote speaker, Dr. Divina Edralin, PR BOA Chairman, Honorable Dr. Noe Quinanola, PICPA National President, Mr. Lope Bato Jr., PICPA Foundation Chairman, Madam Evelyn Corpuz, PICPA Executive Director, Dr. Estelita Aguirre, PICPA Foundation Executive Director, Madam Lolita Tang, NACPAE External Vice President, Mr. Alan Frank Silva, fellow CPAs, fellow accounting teachers, accounting students, guests, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone here in Zoom and in Facebook Live, magandang umaga po. Your presence makes this first ever virtual research summit and conference even more momentous. We praise and thank God for this event is finally taking place. You know what? This was first scheduled February 28 and 29, which was later moved to May 15 and 16, up until today. Indeed, when life gives us lemons, we make a lemonade. As such, once more, welcome to the second joint PICPA Foundation, and NACPAE National Research Summit and Conference. This is a two-day event of unlearning, learning, and relearning accounting research. There will be technical sessions, open forum, research presentations, both from professionals and students, and reactors. Being proactive, we are bannering the theme, Limitless World of Filipino CPAs, Rising in Solidarity Amidst Challenging Times through Accounting Research, for this Research Summit and Conference. This is indeed a strong encouragement for us certified public accountants to renew our commitment to doing research as a means to impact regulation and governance now more than ever as we stay true to our commitment as nation builders. Leveraging on the role of research in our profession, This is also us saying that research is not only for the academe, but also for all the four sectors of our profession: public practice, commerce and industry, and government. At this point, please allow me to share my personal definition of research as follows. It is a prudent and systematic process of inquiry and investigation of materials and sources aimed at establishing an outcome. When we speak of an outcome, we refer to conclusion and contribution. With respect to conclusion, such must be validated and reliable. When we speak of contribution, it could either be theoretical or practical. The theoretical part may be taken care of by the academicians, but the practical, I think, this will be for all the sectors. We do hope that this will be a strong encouragement for us all to be intentional in looking forward to research collaborations wherever sector you are from. Before I end, please let me inform you to not forget to accomplish the online evaluation form with the links provided towards the end of each session. There will be 4 sessions: today, morning and afternoon, and tomorrow, morning and afternoon. The organizers would need this for your certificates of attendance. Each session can be credited for 1.5 CPD units under the self-directed learning category. As I close, please allow me to thank once more PICPA Foundation, and NACPAE for putting this first ever virtual research summit and conference into a reality. Special thanks go to the PICPA and PICPA Foundation Research and Development Committee teams. Daghang salamat. Let us continue to embrace accounting research with the use of technology more tightly in today's new normal and even in the next normals to come. Once more, welcome everyone, good morning, and all glory to God. Back to you, Dr. Alahar.
Thank you, Dr. Florence Tugas, for that very warm welcome and lots of good vibes for this 2-day conference. And to bring us more best wishes, we call on the lead conveners of this National Research Summit and Conference for some few words and more good wishes. No? We call on first Mr. Alan Frank Silva, the Vice President External of the National Association of CPAs in Education.
Thank you so much. To our PICPA National President, Mr. Lope L. Bato Jr., our PICPA Executive Director, Estelita Aguirre, our PICPA Foundation Incorporated Chairperson, Ms. Evelyn S. Corpuz, our NACPAE National President, Dr. Florence C. Tugas, who I am representing at this moment because he has to wear another hat of the Chairman of the PICPA National Committee on Research and Development. Our Professional Regulatory Board of Accountancy Chairman, Honorable Dr. Noe G. Quiñanola. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Divina M. Edralin, who will be formally introduced in a while. Members of PICPA, PICPA Foundation, and NACPAE. Accounting teachers and students. Ladies and gentlemen, naimbag nga aldaw kada kayo amin. Good morning. It is with great honor to be part of this second joint National Research Summit and Conference inspired by the theme, Limitless World of Filipino CPAs, Rising in Solidarity Amidst Challenging Times through Accounting Research. Activities such as this is very important to us in the academic sector, being one of the trifocal functions of an educator. We have a long way to go in the area of research, especially for the longest time, we have been used to simply concentrating on teaching and on the side, outreach and extension. It is indeed difficult to move out of our comfort zones and explore the potentials of what lies beyond. There are so many fears and other challenges that we have to overcome. We at NACPAE have consistently exerted effort to promote the long overdue research culture in our community. For the past years, we ensured that research has a spot in our accounting teachers development seminars, mid-year accounting teachers international conference, and the annual accounting teachers conference. As a result, there are 60 research papers that have already been presented in the areas of auditing, assurance and information technology, accounting education, financial accounting and reporting, management accounting and reporting, and business regulations. Through our NACPE Journal of Accounting Research, The Dividends, which is the brainchild of our incumbent president, Dr. Florence C. Tugas, who has consistently been passionate on promoting research throughout the archipelago and even in the Southeast Asian region through the ASEAN Accounting Education Work Group. NACPE has provided an avenue for accounting teachers and students to publish their studies in a peer-reviewed journal. We're already on our third volume, and the electronic copies of these journals are accessible for free via our official website, nacpae.com. So far, there are 20 papers published. It means that so far, for every 3 papers presented, 1 has been published. That is an encouraging 33.33%. However, out of the approximately 500 higher education institutions in the Philippines offering BS accountancy, only 32 HEIs have been involved in our research presentation and publication. That is 6.4%. With this picture of the Philippine accountancy research in mind, we appeal to all of you to encourage our colleagues to engage in research. To the best of our ability, NACPAE will be willing to help you in terms of capacitation and provision of avenues for presentation and publication. Maraming salamat po. May the good Lord continually bless us all in all our endeavors. Back to you, Dr. Alahar.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alan. This morning, we are very delighted to have in our midst our beloved National President of the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, Mr. Lope Bato Jr.
Thank you, Dr. Alahar. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this two-day second joint National Accountancy Research and Conference, Summit and Conference. And please allow me to express my heartfelt and warm greetings to our keynote speaker, Research Director of San Beda University, Professor Divena Edrelin, who will discuss to us the implications of doing research for the first time in accountancy profession. Philippine Regulatory Board of Accountancy Chair, Honorable Noe Quinanola, who will discuss to us the implications of the competency framework in the accountancy profession. PICPA Foundation Chairperson and PICPA immediate past President, Ms. Evelyn Corpus, National Sectoral Director of Education, Alan Frank Silva, NACPAE President and Chair of the PICPA National Research and Development Committee, Dr. Florence Togas, Chairperson of PICPA Foundation Research Committee, Professor Patricia Empleo is also a reactor representing education sector, reactor representing the government sector, the National President of the Government Association of CPAs, Attorney Fidila Tan, Reactor representing the public practice sector, Ms. Maria Rosel Gomez, and Reactor representing commerce and industry, Mr. Hel Santos Garcia, PICPA Executive Director, Dean Estelita Aguirre, and PICPA Foundation Executive Director, Lolita Tang, other dignitaries in the virtual room, teachers, students, participants, a pleasant morning to all of you. Finding reasons why research is important seems like no-brainer. But we know very well that most people try to avoid getting involved in research. A disinterested academic could just be doing it to secure job tenure and or promotion. Yet, to those like to learn, whether they are members of a learning institution or not, doing research is not just an imperative, but a need. In a recent article of Kennesaw State University, Ms. Liana Sara, a freelance qualitative researcher, outlines the 7 reasons why research is important. And these reasons may drive one to appreciate research and engage in it. These are the following reasons highlighted in the research. 1, a tool for building knowledge and efficient learning. 2nd, means to understand various issues. 3rd, an aid to business success. 4th, a way to prove lies and support truths. 5, means to find, gauge, and seize opportunities. 6, a seed to love reading, writing, analyzing, and sharing valuable information. And last, nourishment and exercise for the mind. A medical research charity based in United Kingdom acknowledges the importance of research in building knowledge. It sees research as crucial to finding possible cures for diseases as well as how to prevent them. Thus, research becomes a must to ascertain if one's ideas are supported by previous studies or if these ideas still need further proof to be considered as knowledge. Also, many successful companies such as those producing consumer goods or mass market items invest so much in research and development or R&D. R&D also helps secure a vantage point over competitors, finding out how to make things happen and what could differentiate them from others that offer similar products and services can raise the company's market value. Certainly, having relevant knowledge in achieving a good commercial image through sound business strategies like investing in research and development can boost its profitability. They said, curiosity may kill not just the cat, but the humans as well. Yet, it is the same curiosity that fuels the mind to seek for answers. It is in this context that PICPA and PICPA Foundation acknowledge the importance of research and development and organize its research committees to provide reasonable budget to support research and related activities. Let us listen to the preliminary discussions and the 7 research papers presentations in 2-day research summit and learn from them. Thank you very much and congratulations to the chairpersons and members of the research committees of PICPA and PICPA Foundation and the officers of NACPAE in organizing and facilitating the second Joint National Accountancy Research Summit. Good morning and have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you to our PICPA President, Mr. Lope Bato Jr. We're very pleased to have you this morning, sir. Our support pillar will not be complete without hearing some few words from the chair of the PICPA Foundation, Ms. Evelyn Corpus.
Good morning, everyone. It is with great pleasure to congratulate the men and women behind this laudable project of enriching the capabilities of our learners, professors, instructors, our future and would-be CPAs. And this learning activity organized by learned professionals, officers of NACPAE, the PICPA Foundation Research Committee, and PICPA Committee on Research and Faculty Development. Thank you for this second National Research Summit. Before this pandemic, all plans, programs, and activities were lined up, but sad to say, they were all deferred. For the 2 days, there are topics which will dwell on the competency framework, its implications on the accountancy profession, and of doing research for the first time in the accounting profession. But before that, may I share to you the definition of the Western Sydney University when it said it defined research as a creation of new knowledge and or the use of existing knowledge in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understanding. This could include synthesis and analysis of previous research to the extent that it leads to new and creative outcomes. I am surprised with this definition because I know one of the fundamental agenda of the Philippine education system is anchored on educational reforms to make education relevant and responsive to the goals of national development. But sad to say, in some of our educational sectors and educational institutions, research, I think, is not given a priority when it comes to funding. Because of this pandemic, the role of research is highlighted, even though our lives, how we work and how we learn has been radically changed. I am so happy and proud that we have laid the foundation for our profession, future-proofing it so that today we are future fluent as we become adept to integrate technologies, big data analytics, and reinventing existing models of transferring knowledge. This digital shift improved the way we learn and communicate through advanced connectivity. NACPAE, PICPA, and the PICPA Foundation have reinforced this network and infrastructure. We have fortified and learned new competencies to navigate this disruption brought about by this COVID challenge. As CPAs in all sectors, especially those in the academy, it is our obligation to empower our learners, faculty, students, practitioners, CPAs in government, CPAs in commerce and industry, by giving them access not only to information, but capabilities in research that will enhance the lives and uplift the communities, organizations, and instrumentalities where all of these CPAs belong. Thus, I hope and believe that this summit will pave the way to more collaborative efforts to reinforce what we have started planning last February 28 and March 1. And this can only be achieved with all of us working together and supporting each other. And our part in the foundation, we have budgeted amounts for the publication of journals. And in the last years, we have published tax journals in collaboration with the Association of CPAs in Public Practice. I would love, as your chairman of the foundation, I would love to see more of these research journals published by us, as we already have approved funds and they are ready in the foundation. I encourage the organizers and all of us to act on this after the summit. Lastly, on behalf of the PICPA Foundation, I would like to commend and extend my gratitude to our resource speakers, Professor Divina Edralin, our ever-active, most accommodating Honorable Chair, Honorable Noe Quinanola of POA, and the members of the panel of reactors from all sectors. For education, Dean Pat Empleo. For public practice, Ms. Rosel Gomez. For government, we have Attorney Bobotan. And for commerce and industry, we have Sir Hill Samson Garcia. And not to forget the indefatigable President Alan Frank Silva and Doc Flong Tugas of NACPAE, our ever supportive president of PICPA, Sir June Batu, and his alter ego, Ma'am Edie Estelita Aguirre, and my alter ego at PICPA Foundation, our Edie Lolit Tam, and the researchers who will be presenting the 7 papers for this 2-day summit. What you are giving today, in giving, caring, loving, and sharing your knowledge, expertise, and findings you have, and what you know, and what you have shared is the best gift you are giving this generation. May your tribes increase, and for all of us, students, faculty members, participants, officers from all sectors, let us enjoy learning and relearning. Because if we stop to learn, we start to die. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair Ms. Evelyn Corpus. Once again, our heartfelt gratitude to NACPAE, to PICPA, and the PICPA Foundation for bringing us all together for this 2-day research summit and conference. At this point, may I be privileged to introduce our guest of honor, who will be providing us with a brief on the competency frameworks, its implications to the accountancy profession. Our guest of honor and speaker is a certified public accountant, an industrial engineer, and at the same time, an environmental planner. He has a Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration degree and was conferred Diplomate in Business Education with the Philippine Council of Deans and Educators in Business. He is an accomplished accountant who has had a little over 4 decades of professional experience and accomplishments. His professional journey started in public practice when he joined SGB Cebu branch as a staff auditor. After SGB, he shifted to commerce and industry when he applied as an accountant at Eltra Asia Pacific Incorporated, an American company operating at Mactan Export Processing Zone. To his surprise, he was hired as production control manager, and this motivated him to pursue studies in industrial engineering as a company scholar. And after finishing his engineering degree, he went to Saudi Arabia and joined Sealand Service, where he served as area accountant. After 4 years of employment in the Middle East, he came back to the Philippines and joined United Technologies Automotive Philippines as materials manager. 2 years later, he got promoted to the position of plant manager, and this position he held for 9 years. He then decided to form his own consultancy firm, the Quinanola Consulting, which offered consultancy services in the areas of accounting, finance, and industrial engineering. And after passing the CPA board exams, he became a part-time faculty member of the University of San Jose Recoletos, which paved the way for his entry into the academe. Later, he was designated as director of the CPA Review Center, controller and graduate school professor of the University of San Jose Recoletos. He later joined Southwestern University as its president. Likewise, he formed his accounting firm, the NG Quinanola and Company, where he is currently its managing partner. In August 2018, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte appointed him as chairman of the Professional Regulatory Board of Accountancy. This completed his journey in the 4 areas of accountancy: public practice, commerce and industry, education, and now in the government. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Professional Regulatory Board of Accountancy, the Honorable Noe G. Quinanola.
Thank you, Dr. Geoffrey Alahar, for that very generous introduction. Before I start, may I request for a share screen access? Okay. Okay, please confirm if my screen is already visible at your end.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, PICPA President, Mr. Lope Bato Jr., PICPA Foundation Chairman, Madam Evelyn Corpus, PICPA Executive Director, Estelita Aguirre, PICPA Foundation Executive Director, Lulit Tang, our keynote speaker, who will be properly introduced later, Dr. Divina Hidralin, President of the National Association of Certified Public Accountants in Education, Dr. Flong Tugas, and its Executive Vice President, Mr. Alan Frank Silva. Other dignitaries in the panelist room, CPAs in education, public practice, government, and commerce and industry, as well as students viewing this particular program from Apari to Holo, I suppose. I was actually scrolling down the list of participants, and I noticed that there are from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So a pleasant good morning to everyone. The task given to me this morning is to discuss about competency framework and its implication to the accountancy profession. First, let us understand what competency framework in general means before we apply this to our profession. Competency framework is a means by which organizations communicate which behaviors are required, valued, recognized, and rewarded with respect to specific occupational roles. It ensures that staff, in general, have a common understanding of the organization's values and expected excellent performance behaviors. An example of a diagram showing competency framework is this one, which I lifted from the Chartered Global Management Accountants, of which at the core, they require digital skills, and its periphery includes technical skills, business skills, people skills, and leadership skills, along with an ever um, consideration of ethics, integrity, and professionalism. It doesn't matter where the item actually lies, whether it's in the center or at the rim of the circle, but all of this are actually equally important. Now, applying this to us, why did we come up, the profession, the accountancy profession, why did we come up with what we call competency framework? As you know, we are a member of the ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And in ASEAN, we actually are a signatory to the ASEAN MRA in accountancy, or the Mutual Recognition Agreement in accountancy. So along with 9 other nations who are members of ASEAN, the agreement way back in 2014, paving the way for cross-border practice, or the basic objective is actually mobility, national qualification framework identification, demand for comparability, meaning to say we will have the same standards among 10 ASEAN member states. And of course, that can only be accomplished when we have regional referencing framework or some sort of standardization of qualifications. So in answer to the ASEAN reference qualification framework, the Philippines also came up, or the ASEAN qualification reference framework, of course, as I was saying earlier, is a common reference framework that enables comparison of education qualifications across ASEAN member states. Likewise, it aims to have a neutral influence on national qualifications framework of participating ASEAN member states, and its engagement in ASEAN qualification reference framework does not require changes to national qualification systems. The AQRF respects the specific structures and processes of participating ASEAN member states to maintain the responsiveness to national priorities. What this exactly means is that if a country already has its national qualifications framework or national qualification system, then that qualification system can just be synchronized with the ASEAN qualification reference framework in order that qualifications or standards can be at the same level. So in answer to that, of course, these are the objectives of the ASEAN qualification reference framework: support recognition of qualifications among ASEAN countries, promote higher quality qualification systems, lead to better understanding of qualification systems, develop qualification framework to encourage lifelong learning, develop approaches to validate non-formal education, and promote learner and worker mobility. And as far as worker mobility is concerned, we're actually facing the fact that at this time, there is actually what we call borderless practice of accountancy, or practice without borders, among ASEAN member states or the ASEAN region, because of the signing of the ASEAN MRA in accountancy. So in answer to the ASEAN reference or qualification reference framework, the Philippines also has its own Philippines qualifications framework. It can be noted that way back in 2018, Republic Act 10968 was passed. Republic Act 10968 is about the Philippine qualifications law, the Philippine Qualifications Framework Law, which paved the way for institutionalizing the PQF in the Philippines under the auspices of the Professional Regulation Commission. PQF, ladies and gentlemen, does not only concern the accountancy profession. It involves all 44 professions under the supervision of the Professional Regulation Commission. So it is not only accountancy which is actually doing this or defining what should be, but it is all professions. Okay, so what is the PQF for the Philippine Qualifications Framework? It is a quality assured national system for the development, recognition, and award of qualifications based on standard of knowledge, skills, and values acquired in different ways and methods by learners and workers educated or trained in the Philippines. Now, I would like to draw your attention to standards of knowledge, skills, and values acquired, because this is actually the basis why competency framework was actually formulated. So I think you have seen this, okay? You have seen this graph or this presentation before, but I would just like to highlight that we are concerned of progressing from level 6 to level 8 using the competency framework as the basis. Some objectives ng Philippine Qualifications Framework is to adopt a national standards and levels of outcomes of education, support the development and maintenance of pathways and equivalencies, and align domestic qualification standards with the international qualifications framework. Ang benefits dito is of course promote mobility because of the standardization of qualifications among the region, and that I mean the ASEAN region. It ensures quality because what is required had been defined. It forms unity. It provides access to progression and establishes standards. So ano itong Career Progression and Specialization Program, which is actually the method by which the PQF law is actually implemented. Yung Career Progression and Specialization Program defines what is required of the entry level, middle level, and the advanced level. Entry level is at level 6, middle level at level 7, and advanced level at level 8. Of course, we should expect that as we go up higher to a higher level, the descriptor is something like getting into more of an expert rather than a beginner. So, just to summarize this, level 6 is the entry level for professionals. Basically, the requirement to be at level 6 is actually graduating from a bachelor's degree and passing the CPA board exam. Okay, so that is level 6. And then how do you go to level 7? In level 7, you have to equip yourself with the competences required to go into the next level. And that is sorry. Okay, here. Okay, so in level 6 is just the entry level. While at level 6, you have to work your way towards getting into level 7. Okay, and one of the requirements that was actually required there is that you must have at least 5 years experience in level 6 before you can go to level 7. Along with a 5 years experience, you also have to comply with the relevant competency framework and the level of accomplishment of this competency framework so that you can go level 7. Again, from level 7, it is expected that you go level 8, and that is a more advanced stage of your practice of the profession. The career progression and specialization program includes higher learning proficiency and advanced skills, which one could actually get from formal and non-formal education. You can also have that in informal learnings and recognized prior learnings and professional work experiences. These are actually the areas by which you can acquire competencies over the years. So let me show you. The title of the topic is actually the implications of or competency framework, its implications to the accountancy profession. So I would like to give you the competency framework that we have so far defined for all the 4 practice areas. But later on, I will dissect more on the competency framework for education because this is a NAPPA event. So for public practice, the competency framework that had been defined has ethics and integrity at the core. And then the required competencies are technical competence, business acumen, social relations, leadership and governance, and then of course, that what turns around all these competencies is knowledge in information and communications technology. So this is the competency framework for public practice. We have to define competency framework on a per practice level because of the need or because of the different needs of each practice sector. For commerce and industry, the competency framework that had been defined includes professional ethics and values at the core, and then business acumen, reporting, control, research and taxation, leadership and communications in its periphery. Of course, information and communications technology is actually what turns the wheel around. In government, the competency framework is involving asset control, financial reporting, change management, of course, with ethics and integrity at the core, and then information and communications technology all over. That makes actually what makes it work. Okay, in education, the competency framework includes teaching, knowledge or being a knowledge transferer, research or being a knowledge co-creator, and social integration, being an agent of change. You will notice that the teaching framework is more, it's entirely different from the 3 other frameworks of the 3 other fields of practice. Of course, at the core is ethics and integrity, and information and communications technology competency is much required in teaching, especially now that online teaching is the new normal. Okay, so of course, we have the 4 practice areas that I have shown you earlier. And then this is actually the descriptor for level 7. Okay, performs specialized or supervisory level of professional practice that is migrating from level 6, which is basically the entry level, that requires initiative, creativity, substantial degree of independence, leadership in teams and in multi-interdisciplinary fields. This is equivalent to a master's degree in accountancy or a related field, with a valid license and with at least 5 years of working experience. As you progress to level 8, It is, or the qualification title is that of a specialized or expert accountancy professional who performs highly specialized or managerial executive level or professional practice in accountancy pursuant to Republic Act 9298. It requires special cognitive, technical, and research, managerial, and executive competence equivalent to a doctoral degree in accountancy or in a related field, of course, with a valid license and with at least 10 years of working experience in any accountancy practice. So let us go back to the framework for education. I told you earlier that I will dissect the competency framework for education as this is a NACPA event. So, okay. The advanced professional accountants and experts in education, okay, this is a comparison of qualification outcomes in relation to knowledge, skills and values, application, and degree of independence descriptors. So at level 7, okay, you consider level 7 and level 8, the teaching or the knowledge transfer at level 7, these are the descriptors. If one in the academe already is capable of being awarded the level 7 status. So designing a curriculum, review and revise its outcome-based instruction objectives, and of course, course outline syllabus prepared by the teachers, reviews and evaluates the lesson packages and instruction modules for alignment with the course outline or syllabus and instructional objectives, applies in administrative creative works that require self-direction, demonstrate high substantial degree of independence. That is the first group of descriptors for somebody in the academe who is already at level 7. What about if one is already at level 8? He will be able to revise, update a curricular program to keep it relevant to current times, prepares feasibility studies to propose new program offerings, designs a mechanism to systematically secure inputs from industry and other stakeholders for program reviews and identification of gaps in competencies, applies in administrative works that require professional leadership for innovation and or development, management in highly specialized or multidisciplinary fields, demonstrate full independence in individual work and or in teams of multidisciplinary and more complex setting that demands leadership for creativity and strategic value added. If you will look at these descriptors actually, it will also define the position that you are likely to hold when you will be at level 7 and level 8. And I will show you in a little while samples of position titles that are being held for those at level 7 and level 8. Further, there are more, these are more descriptors for somebody in teaching in the knowledge transfer or competency pa lang, okay? So leads people effectively, resolves dispute effectively, evaluates teacher delivery of the lessons, and classroom management. So may evaluation portion ka na dyan. Malamang, that involves the position of a department, accountancy department chairman. Okay, applies administrative creative works. Dito sa expert level, sa level 8, you are already expected to design appropriate faculty or student development program, builds a high performance culture, focus on desired results. Okay, so if you look at the descriptor at level 8, most likely this is one of that of a dean or BP for academics or even a president of a school. Further, on knowledge transfer, may dagdag pa sa level 8 yan, applies in administrative works that require professional leadership for innovation and or development management. Okay, demonstrates full independence in individual work and or in teams of multidisciplinary and more complex setting. That is in knowledge transfer or competency. Let us go to, meron pa ba dito? Sa knowledge transfer. Okay, reviews table of specification. Ito yung table of specification from the Board of Accountancy. Okay, finalize outcomes-based departmental exam, evaluates teacher quantitative performance. Okay, and then also on level 8. Parang bumalik ata. So, okay, let's go. Okay, let's go to research. In the competency research, at level 7, one is expected to collaborate with and or mentors new researchers in preparing and securing approvals of research proposals, undertaking research projects, presenting and publishing completed researches. Provides teachers with guidance on possible resources and technical training and assistance they may tap for their research, monitor research activities, and addresses issues raised in a timely manner. Applies in research work that requires self-direction. Demonstrates high substantial degree of independence that involves exercise of leadership and initiative. That is the descriptor when you are at level 7 in terms of research. What about in level 8? So level 8, expected or expectations, you can already craft the research agenda of the academic unit based on reviews of industry needs, research institutes agenda, and publication themes. Applies research works that require professional leadership for innovation, research and or development management in highly specialized or multidisciplinary fields, and demonstrates full independence in individual work and or in teams of multidisciplinary and more complex setting that demands leadership for creativity and strategic value added. Okay, so those are descriptors for research competency for both level 7 and level 8. Further, publishes, okay, at level 8, ito na yung expert level, publishes at least one research project in at least a national research journal. Now, you know, it's really good to discuss this at this point because this is a research congress and accomplishments in research actually is being recognized in our competency framework such that an academician could actually progress through the career progression pathway. Okay, so publication of research project is an important thing for our research competency and all those things. Let me just fast track a little bit because I think I was only given 30 minutes. You see our paper or our presentation for all these is actually quite lengthy. This will not even take, this will take more than one day to discuss all the sectors. But anyway, let us just make good use of the time. Okay, let's go to social integration. In social integration at level 7, one or an academician is expected to apply appropriate governance principles on situations concerning ethical behavior and accountability within the organization. Applies in administrative works that require self-direction, demonstrates high substantial degree of independence that involves exercise of leadership and initiative in individual work or in teams. Sa level 8 naman, one is expected to formulate governance framework as a guide in resolving complex ethical dilemma faced by the organization. It also applies in administrative works that require professional leadership for innovation. Okay? Demonstrate full independence in individual work and or in teams. Further, in social integration, in level 7, one is expected to engage himself in engages audience in interactive communication in small and large group. So ito na yung descriptor mo pagdating mo sa level 7, and on the other side, these are the descriptor in the competency framework social integration when you are already in level 8. Delivers presentation with complex issues confidently to senior management and other audiences and answer queries questions convincingly. Okay, applies in administrative works that require professional leadership for innovation. Okay, further, at level 7, as far as social integration, ito yung more descriptors. Monitors relationship among team members. Okay, applies in administrative works, demonstrates high substantial degree of independence. And on the other side, at level 8, you're expected to formulate negotiation models that will yield positive result. Applies in administrative works that require professional leadership for innovation, and then demonstrate full independence. So we have covered the 3 competence areas. Okay, these are more descriptors for social integration. Okay, more social integration descriptors. Now, what I would just like to tell you guys is that because of the numerous descriptors of the levels that you have to accomplish, meaning to say, you also have to involve yourselves with formal and informal training experiences that will lead you to acquire such competency so that you can be designated as level 7 or level 8. Okay. So further, di ba, ang dami, no? And these are actually being approved already by the Professional Regulation Commission. Dito, level 8 na lang ito, but this is high degree of work. And then on ethics and integrity, ito yung core. So at advanced level 7, you will be able to identify ethical issues or those in violation of the Code of Ethics for professional accountants and the Code of Teachers among peers and subordinates. Applies in professional creative work or research that requires self-direction and demonstrates high substantial degree of independence. At level 8, so identify pa lang yung level 7, at level 8, resolves ethical issues or those in violation of the Code of Ethics for accountants and the Code of Teachers, and so on. Okay? Of course, further, in ethics and integrity, at level 7, ito yung descriptor recognizes and enables integrity in the performance of the task. Okay? At level 8, anticipates integrity issues and develops and manages strategic programs to address such issues. On information and communications technology, at level 7, you're expected to keep abreast with and introduces emerging business and digital technologies for continuous process improvement. And this is, of course, as we all know, the use of technology in the practice. Okay, applies in administrative works that require self-direction, demonstrate high substantial degree of independence that involve exercise of leadership and initiative in individual work or in teams. Sa level 8, as far as ICT is concerned, you should be able to anticipate the need for new technology applications to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of business or service delivery. Okay? And so on. Now, dito, ito yung sinabi ko kanina, these are actually sample positions that what we actually occupy at level 7. assistant professor, associate professor, accounting department chair or head. At level 8, wherein the summary of competency level goal is mastery of skill, expected is you are already a chancellor, executive vice president, CEO, CFO, or COO of an educational institution, vice president for academic affairs, dean, full professor, and college professor salary grade 29 that is defined for state universities. Okay, so that is for education. So in conclusion, ano ba talaga ang implications of competency framework for accountants? Okay, yung competency framework for accountants, we actually developed, we formulated competency framework for accountants per practice sector. And based on what I have told you earlier, this actually defines standards of competencies so that we can be in common ground. Okay? And then, itong competency framework will be used as basis for the career progression and specialization program, which is actually in support of the implementation of Republic Act 10968, otherwise known as the Philippine Qualification Framework Law. Now, along with this, kailangan may CPD. Kasi ang CPD will be the one that will actually enable you to acquire competencies. Kaya nga, di ba, may mga groups who are actually trying to repeal the CPD law, or as what the president said in his SONA, the latest SONA, the president said he wants an amendment of the law. So, good heavens, it's not being repealed, it's just amended. But anyway, whether CPD is there or not, or whether the CPD law is there or not, CPD is still required. Well, actually, as info, the groups that actually moved for the repeal of the CPD law they were only against requiring CPD for license renewal with PRC. Okay, so actually PRC doesn't care about that. Okay, because even if it's not anymore required as a license for license renewal, CPD will still be required for the career progression and specialization program. In fact, in order to identify one who has acquired CPD related to the competency required of him, it was actually planned that sooner or later, your competencies will already be indicated at the back of your PRC or the professional identification card. So CPD events is still required. CPD events are still significant. CPD events will actually lead you to acquire the competencies that had been defined. Then you have noticed earlier that ang dami palang kailangan to be at level 7 and to be at level 8. Okay? So CPD events will aligned with competency requirements. And then after completion of CPD events, we have assessment of compliance of competencies so that PRC can award the title or designation, whether what level you are supposedly at a point in time. So in effect, the benefits of PQF, which is actually implemented using competency framework, it encourages lifelong learning, recognizes certificates and licenses, assures that standards and qualifications are consistent with job requirements, provides common understanding of standards, qualification, and level, conformance to standards, and preciseness of accountability for learning outcomes. It also provides common understanding of policies and guidelines on credit transfers, articulation, portability, and bridges pathways. This is if one practice in one area to the other. So, meron bang portability ang skills ko dito sa public practice to academe? There could be, if those competencies are actually similar. And then it provides the standards, taxonomy, and typology of qualifications as basis for granting approvals to providers and stakeholders. So I think with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end my talk that we can only improve if we like to improve. Let us not hate CPD because sabi nga ni Madam Evelyn kanina, and I think those were the words of sino ba yun? Albert Einstein, if we stop learning, we start dying. Good morning once again.
Thank you, Chairman Noe Quinonola. At this point, may we request Mr. Lope Bato Jr., Ms. Evelyn Corpus, and Mr. Alan Silva to witness the awarding of the certificate to our guest of honor.
May we also ask Dr. Tugas to join us in this pictorial. Thank you.
Allow me to read the text of the certificate. So the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA Foundation, National Association of CPAs in Education present this certificate of appreciation to Honorable Noe G. Quinonola, Chairman, Professional Regulatory Board of Accountancy, for his invaluable contribution as resource person during the second Joint National Accountancy Research Summit and Conference on October 19 to 20, 2020. Given this 19th day of October 2020, signed Lope Bato Jr., President PICPA, Evelyn Corpus, Chairman PICPA Foundation, and Florence Tugas, President of NACPAE.
Thank you very much, NACPAE, PICPA Foundation, and PICPA. It's always a pleasure being with you in these events. Thank you.
Thank you once again, our Chairman, Dr. Noe Quinonola. At this point, allow me to introduce our keynote speaker, who has been tasked to set out the central theme of our research summit and conference. Allow me to be personal in my introduction of our keynote speaker, having been privileged to have known her since we both started our respective journeys in the academy, which spans for more than 4 decades now. Undeniably, our keynote speaker has enriched Philippine education with her expertise, dedication, and commitment, specifically in the intricate field of research. Such has been honed early on in her sociology studies at Maryknoll, now Miriam College, after which at the University of the Philippines for her master's in industrial relations studies, and at the De La Salle University for her doctorate in management studies. And it was at the De La Salle University where she attained as an educator in management and organization and research, while occupying varied leadership positions as past dean of the business courses at the College of St. Benilde. She served also as a graduate program coordinator and vice dean for research and graduate studies at the Ramon B. Del Rosario College of Business of De La Salle, where she retired. Today, our keynote speaker takes pride in her involvement with the mission of Bedan Education. She is concurrently director of the Research and Development Center and Vice President for Academics of San Beda University. A staunch believer and a competent voice in the value of research to address societal and global challenges, our eminent speaker is here to steer more precious insights on the conduct of research in the accounting profession. So ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Professor Dr. Divina Edralin.
Thank you, Joffrey, for that very kind and personal introduction to Florence Tugas, or Dr. Florence Tugas, former colleague at the De La Salle University and a friend to the other presidents of this particular PICPA, the foundation, the honorable chairperson from PRC, to all the reactors, and of course to all of you. I saw in the screen that there are 200 more or more people who are listening to this particular presentation. Good morning, magandang umaga po. May I share my screen first before I start? Okay, my task this morning is to share with you, as mentioned by Dr. Joffrey, my 4 decades of experience being a research scholar, being a consultant, and at the same time being a research administrator into universities. The title is Implications of Doing Research for the First Time in the Accountancy Profession. But listening to the introduction of the presidents and of course the honorable chairperson, it seems that you are not really doing research for the first time in the accountancy profession. Maybe for a few of you who just started in the academe, or maybe for the practitioners who are just starting to become aware of what is this accountancy research all about. So maybe that is something that we can discuss later on. But maybe I would like to premise my presentation for this morning in terms of leveling some, maybe some concepts. Because if you are starting, the first thing that you need to do when you say implication is to have a common understanding of the concept of research and accountancy research. Although I think Florence and Ma'am Evelyn mentioned some definition earlier. And then you also mentioned something on the importance of accountancy of research in the accounting profession. I want to share from your accounting journal what are the essential skills to be a good researcher. I want to show you, I think this is one of the important aspects of starting to do research, or maybe to continue doing research, is the accounting research landscape, especially here in the Philippines. And then, of course, what are the challenges in doing research? And at the end, I think what is important to be able to do research will be the strategies to stimulate doing research in the accountancy profession. So I hope I'll be able to inspire you, to motivate you after this presentation. I expect that this will be a more interactive presentation, so you can really put in the chat box your questions, or maybe I will ask questions and then please respond in the chat box so that I can see your answers to or reactions to some of what I am saying, whether you agree, disagree, or where are you in relation to all of these things. Okay, so I want to start by, of course, leveling the playing field, like what is the concept. Now, if you are in the academe and if you are teaching research or you want to do research, you want to be clear on what is the concept of research. And one of our or two of our research gurus defined it this way, that research is an organized, systematic, data-based, critical, objective, scientific inquiry or investigation into a specific problem, undertaking with the purpose of finding answers or solutions to it, which is also this more or less the same definition of Cooper and Schindler. These are two, if you will ask me and you are to start teaching, these are two books that are very important in research, particularly in business research. And then I was going through the literature of accounting, the accounting journal, and then I happened to see the definition of Oller, and Skusin in 2009, defining accounting research as it is a research into the effect of economic events on the process of summarizing, analyzing, verifying, and reporting standardized financial information, and on the effects of reported information on economic events. I think some of you will say that if you have been into research, this is quite a limited definition of accounting research. I agree with you. But just to show you one definition way back in 2009, but I said I think at present, this particular definition has been expanded as clearly expounded by Dr. Tugas at the beginning. And then what I saw in your literature that you classify your types of accounting research into two. This is what you call the positive research, where you seek to explain and predict actual accounting practices. And then the other one is the normative research, which seeks to derive and prescribe optimal accounting standard. In the research general parlance, this is what we call basic research and applied research. Okay, this is now a I want to find out. Let's find out who will be able to answer this one. I want you to tell me in the chat, who are these people? Are you familiar with your, actually one of the things that you have to know are your scholars, your thought scholars in the field of accountancy. Can you please write in your chat box? Do you know any of these people? Or actually, if you want, you can unmute and then tell me. Can you recognize any of these scholars in the accountancy field? Okay. Now you know. So I think the first one is the father of modern accounting. Okay, I think many of you know them. And these are so far in the literature, these are the scholars or the thought leaders in the field of accountancy. Why did I show this? Because when you are starting to do research, you need to have icons. You need to have models. You need to have scholars where you can base your theoretical framework. Because when you do empirical research, you need to have a thought scholar or a particular leader in that particular field, which you can use as your basis for developing your framework, whether you will use the positive or the normative type of research. And then I think it was mentioned earlier by Mr. Bato, but I would like to present to you, as part of motivating you to do research, what are really the other importance of doing accounting research. I divided it into two. One is the importance as far as the firm or the organization is concerned, whether this organization is the academe or the schools, or you're referring to, let's say, the accounting firms, or you are referring to the government sector, and maybe even for PICPA or other professional organization in the accountancy profession. And the other side is really for the individual. Looking at it, I want you at least to reflect at this point, what is the importance for you if you are to do research in your particular field of specialization? And normally the question is, what is it for me? So you look at the individual importance of doing research. Wouldn't you want to change the world through consulting, professional service, and teaching? So that is an individual benefit. Or wouldn't you want to have additional income and expand collaborative network, not only among the accounting profession, but in other fields? So let me talk about additional income. Many schools, especially the top 4 schools, to name in particular, for example, De La Salle University and the University of the Philippines, they really give big incentives for production, for doing research, deloading, no? So that many faculty are attracted to do research and going to these particular universities because of the additional income that you get other than teaching. Or this can be the jump start of your career in research or even in the accounting field. And then it maintains your professional integrity and teaching effectiveness. It contributes in creating knowledge to the field, of course, as an individual and even at the firm level. And I think for those of you who really love to do research, it is personal fulfillment. It's like seeing something published in a Scopus or in our ISI journal. It becomes part of your bragging right, no? So it's a personal fulfillment. So that's the importance of doing research at the individual level. But for the organization, there are many importance or significance, as you will see here on the left side. But what I want to focus on here is, I think your influence, no? If you are an organization like PICPA, NACPAE, or maybe even the foundation, you can influence policymaking in the firm, in the industry, and the government levels. I think that's really very important. That's the reason why you have organization. Even the school, no? Based on the research that you will be doing, you can contribute in terms of influencing policy making. Or even, for example, I think this one, basis for deciding and implementing new accounting or auditing standards. It can be an effort that can be done by the professional organization, the firm, in coordination with the government, and of course, the scholars that we have in the academy. And then, since many of you are in the academy, I would presume majority of those who are listening to me right now is in the academy. You have to be aware, I think this was also presented earlier in terms of the triple role of any higher learning institution. It is a mandate of the Commission on Higher Education that any higher education institution, whether you are classified as a college or as a university, whether you are autonomous or deregulated, there are 3 main functions that you have to do: teaching, research, and community engagement. But what is important according to Clark, what is important is a strong relation between research and teaching, because this is generally understood to be the defining feature of a modern university and of an academic identity. So this is where learning takes place. So it's very important that we recognize not only teaching, but we also recognize that research has an equal role in the teaching and learning process in colleges and universities. Now, according to the accounting journal, there are essential skills to become a good researcher. I want you to take a look at the first 5 items, and maybe as a reflection, what I want you to do is try to reflect among these skills that are indicated, where do you need help? Because to be able to start doing research, as mentioned earlier, you need to improve your skill. You need to retool. So is your problem, or maybe the weakness that you have now, is you are not able to know and stay abreast of current work within your field of research? What does it entail? It entails that you read, we call it in research, review of related literature. You need to read the findings of the researches in the different journals in your field. You just cannot rely on reading your textbooks. In research, what is the primary source of being abreast? It is really the publications in the different journals in your field. And then understand and recognize research problem. Of course, this is part of attending a seminar, but basically you cannot start doing research unless you understand and recognize a research problem that you want to answer at the beginning of your research. And then you need to understand research content. What are the parts? Now, what do you need to do? Do I know how to write the review of related literature? Can I write the framework? Do I know how to do my research gap? Because then the next one is talking about discover where one can make a contribution. The contribution that you can do when you start doing research is really looking at the research gap. Where do you know that? You know that from reading your related literature, because it tells you what are already the overstudied areas and what are the emerging themes that you can possibly undertake so that you have a significant contribution. And then the fifth one is actually you have to master your experimental, mathematical, computational research skill. Basically, this involves methodology. So my question to you right now is, where do you need to improve at, no? Based on these five. So it's something that you can think about and then maybe answer it later. And then the next set of the essential skills that is necessary to be a good researcher, the first one is really very difficult, no? Think critically and analytically. Where does it come in the entire research paper that you will be doing, or the research project? It is really the analysis. The critical thinking comes into the design of what you want to do and interpreting the results of your data and writing the implications, so that you are able to either create knowledge, as mentioned, or you're able to contribute something concrete in terms of policies, in terms of standards in your field. The next one is formulating plans to meet short-term and long-term goals and time-specific deadlines. If you are in the academe, it is important that as part of your career, and if you want to stay in the academe, it is really necessary that you make plans on the short-term and long-term basis. You make plans of what are the research that you want to do now and other researchers that you want to do in the future, especially if you want to finish your doctoral degree, because you start doing actually researches from your master's degree that hopefully you can continue in your doctoral degree. If you are in the organization, if you are in the company, or let's say you are in PICPA, you are in NACPAE or in the PICPA Foundation, I think what is important is helping these accountants, no, or the accountancy professionals in terms of really having short-term and long-term goals. So it has to be part of your research so that you can help them. And then you need to follow good research practice. Just to take note, maybe most of you already know about it, that research ethics now is a very, very important part of good research practice. I think if you are in the industry and if you want to do research, one of the aspects of that good research practice is to avoid conflict of interests. Because once you start gathering the data, and then it will only be your company that will benefit, of course, with your other competitor accounting firm, other accounting firms, no, who are your competitor, it will be difficult really to do research. especially if there is a conflict of interests. The other one that I want to focus on the good practice research now that is being emphasized by Research Ethics Board, and all universities now undertaking research are required to have an ethics board in the school. In fact, even the thesis of the undergrad and the graduate students should pass through the ethics committee of the university, because they want to ensure that the data that were taken are not violating the data privacy law. Do you know that, for example, I just saw the data privacy law now even asking the educational background of the respondent requires consent. Before, we used to ask name, address, telephone number, gender, the age. All of these now are part of the data privacy law. So it means you need to secure consent from your respondents before you can ask them. And you need to prove that you need these variables to be part of the analysis. So that's the good research practice skill that you have to learn. And then documenting the report. No? So I think here, this is where the write-up is necessary. I think you need to acquire skills in terms of how to write a research report. A thesis or a dissertation is written differently when you want to write a journal article. Of course, your dissertation or your masteral thesis can be published, but you need to rewrite it in the journal format. That's the meaning of being able to document and report one's work. Or maybe you are in the industry and you get to be commissioned to do a research project related to any of the accounting field. So the funding institution would require a different way of writing the report. So again, it is necessary that you learn these skills. And then related to the writing is the avoidance of plagiarism. So what is important now, I think, is to be familiar with many of these online platforms like Turnitin and Grammarly. So students and faculty and practitioners, I think it is necessary that you will be able to subject your work to these plagiarism tests, and then communicate and defend a coherent argument to interested parties. So again, if you are preparing a proposal, and then I heard, if I understood right, the PICPA Foundation, that you have some funds, but to be able to prepare a proposal, you need to be able to present that proposal to your funding agency. That is the meaning of being able to communicate and defend a coherent argument to interested parties, especially if you are asking for money. And then let's take a look at the accounting research landscape. I hope many of you will take note of this. I just want to focus our experience in the Philippines, because to be able to start doing your research, or maybe if you are already someone who has been doing a number of researches, I think again it is important that you are able to decide what is the accounting field that you want to be specializing on. Or maybe at present, some of you have already a specialization. So you have to decide. You cannot do research all over the place. If you want to be known, you have to decide what area of specialization in the accounting field you want to pursue. Is it in the accounting information system? Is it auditing? Is it financial? Is it managerial? Or is it in the taxation area? I think some of you are able to do one or two, but my suggestion, if you are starting to do research, start first with one. Start with something that is within your area of specialization. Start there first. And then, once you have decided what particular major or major field in the accounting you want to pursue, the next step that you will be doing is really try to look at the current and emerging accounting research themes. I have done some review of related literature. These are the top themes now, no, globally and in the Philippines. Take a look at it now. Because when you have, let's say, an area of financial or managerial, but you have to match it with the theme, because that is what you are looking for. You are looking for a gap. So when you are reading your literature, you look at a theme that can be funded, or maybe if you want to do your dissertation, you have to anchor it on a particular theme. I have a color coding. Take a look at the red ones: sustainability, cybersecurity, and data privacy. And then at the bottom, COVID-19 pandemic. These are the top 3 hot issues now, meaning at this point in our history, if you want to do research that is hot, meaning people will take a look at it, there will be funders, try to look at COVID-19 pandemic in relation to any of the accounting field, or try to look at cybersecurity and data privacy. Sustainability, if I'm not mistaken, the Securities and Exchange Commission has required all the publicly listed companies to have an annual sustainability report. So this will be interesting areas of research. This the 3 red coded themes. At the center, you will notice that I put education in white. I think what has been there for a long time, many of the accounting papers that I have seen before, even faculty members who are just starting, you always start with education. And then I have seen many topics on the passing rate of the accounting students in the board, or you take a look at what are the reasons why they fail, okay? But I think given the situation now, what will be an interesting area to study in the accounting education will be the new way of delivering education. You will notice that the Commission on Higher Education, because of this pandemic situation, has issued a memorandum that all the higher learning institutions can now deliver instruction, either blended learning or full online. So maybe you can do a lot of research in terms of accounting education, but more in terms of instructional materials. You can do a lot of how do you do effective teaching delivery, but in the area of accountancy. So this particular slide I would consider to be very important. So these are the themes. No? So if you want to start, or if you want to submit papers, I think in many conferences, these are the themes that they accept. Now, knowing what are necessary, I think we have to know what are the challenges in doing research. Again, based on the different studies of some scholars in research, the first challenge is about people or human capital. I think for the school, because our focus as faculty members is on teaching rather than research, while for the practitioners' focus is more on the accounting work in the firm. So actually research takes a back seat. The other challenge is the lack of internal motivation and self-confidence of faculty or practitioners in their research capabilities. The other challenge is the lack of faculty, student, and practitioner scholars who have specialization in priority research areas and themes. That's why I was trying to emphasize earlier that you really need to decide on your priority areas and themes that you want to do, so that we are able to hurdle this particular challenge. The other challenge is in the area of structural and research management practices. Again, in the context of the school, what happens for the faculty is we have heavy or non-conducive scheduling of teaching, so that we are not able to do research. I think for some schools, you have too many load, okay, or work assignments, so that doing research becomes really impossible, because I think most of the time you check papers, aside from the classroom teaching, or you prepare for class. The other one is the absence of strong research tradition in the institution, whether this is the school or whether this is in the firm. So there has to be that kind of a research tradition, which is actually related to the next one. No? We need really to instill a research culture, because at present we have a low level of research culture and attitude to advanced research. It's not only the problem, it's the problem actually of many schools in the Philippines. And then the lack of capacity building programs to enhance research and publishing skills. Why? Because research is not a priority, so the budget does not go into capacity building for research and publishing skills. And then the other one, of course, you don't do research for free. To motivate faculty, you need to have, okay, attractive financial incentive and career growth attached to research output. Because at present, we lack attractive financial incentives. As I mentioned to you before, only the top 4 schools, no, in the academy would give something attractive, and even in terms of career growth. But many schools in the Philippines will not be able to do this at present. And then the other challenge is related to resources. So we have limited resources in terms of funds, our library materials, even physical facilities where faculty can write their research, no, without being disturbed by students and other faculty. And our limited access to online and database resources from home and school. Or now, if you are at work, again, that particular limit in terms of the access. No? If you want to do research in the firm. And then the other one is partnership and collaboration. So there is the absence of interdisciplinary or cross-functional research teams. Because at present, what is happening, you do your own thing, no? Kanya-kanya. Whoever is good, whoever would like to do research, do research. But the attempt to team up with someone else within the same, now when I say interdisciplinary, maybe among you who would like to do research in auditing, or maybe among you who want to do research in managerial accounting. So that's what I meant by interdisciplinary. Cross-functional, meaning in terms of maybe the taxation and the managerial would like to do together a particular research project or a particular paper, and then decide on the theme. That's what I meant by this. Now, when you say there is the absence of, and the limited exposure of faculty, students, and practitioners in attending and presenting in international, more of the international. I think now there is already a trend in the local, no? But I think what we need to be exposed on is really the international research conferences. So we get to listen to research scholars in our field from other countries, and you get to realize either how good we are or how far we are from the global trend in the conduct of research. And then the other one is limited interaction with visiting or exchange research professors from, take note of this, reputable top international universities and research organizations. I think the school should really invest on this. I don't know if PICPA or PICPA Foundation or NACPAE can do something on this, where you can invite international renowned scholars in your field, and then make them as visiting researcher. So this is something that we lack. So after knowing the challenges, this is the last part of my presentation, which is really, I think, the more important ones. How do we now stimulate doing research in the accountancy profession? Actually, I have three major strategies that I want to propose to you. Whether you are just starting, or I want to call it, you want to nurture, or you want to cultivate research in the accountancy profession. These are the six major strategies. Investment in human capital, these are the things that I have in mind based on my experience in managing also a research office. You need to provide substantial academic deloading. If some of you who are here who are administrators, you need to have deloading so that faculty will be able to do research. To give incentives, you need to provide professorial chairs and research grants and salary topping to accountancy faculty and practitioners who are productive in research. Here, I want to emphasize the professorial chair. The professorial chair is a recognition that is given to a faculty in a particular field who has done a substantial research, no, that the university or the college can be proud of. And then number two is you have to institutionalize research capacity building programs so that we are able to hone technical and behavioral skills. The ones that I mentioned earlier in terms of the skills, actually that can be a TNA, no, for making a program on what will be the ongoing capacity building programs that you can do at the school level or even at the PICPA level. And then you need to recruit experienced and reputable faculty and practitioner scholars with doctoral degree. Because normally it is the doctoral graduates who will really be doing research. So if you are a school that is just starting and you want to start with something concrete on research, try to recruit doctoral practitioners and faculty. But I think there are very few in your field who are doctoral degree holders. And then three other specific strategies. You need to develop leadership and management skills among senior faculty and managers, because you need the managers or you need leaders who will be trying to plan, no? Who have that skills, because doing research is not just the technical aspect of it. You need to manage, you need to have strategies, you need to have resources. So you need these people to be able to help you in the implementation of your research. And then recruit full-time faculty from the industry who have high interest and potential to do research aside from teaching. So I think based on the experience of the big universities, it is always a plus factor to really to look for industry practitioners, and then you want to have a second career and then recruit them in your school. And then recruit and invest in young promising accountancy researchers and scholars who have specialization. So we also need to invest among our young people, because we can teach them, we can motivate them, and hopefully make them stay in the academe to do research, or maybe even in the firm to do research. And then the second strategy, as I mentioned, that we need to enhance the integration of research and teaching functions. Along this line, I have actually two suggestions. One is you need to revise the graduate program curriculum to enrich the content of research-related courses like your research methods and thesis writing or dissertation writing. I don't know if you are aware that there is a CMO that was issued by the Commission on Higher Education related to the graduate programs. And all the graduate programs will now have two tracks. One track is for professional, and then the other track is for the research track. So it means if you are an institution that has masteral or doctoral degree in accountancy or doctor in business administration, what happens is you can now revise the curriculum in such a way that those accounting professionals who would like to pursue a track in earning a higher degree, but in terms of the profession, so practice of profession, you can put them there. But those who would like to do research you can put them in the track. You know, the other good news, they have lessened the number of units for the doctoral program. The masteral, they lessened it to 36. The doctoral, for the research, only 42. And all the rest, no academics, but more of really research. So that's what I'm telling you. That is now an opportunity to be able to integrate research and teaching functions. And then the other one are some minor things, especially for the undergrad. I'm hoping that you can embed research output now with the online, and there are many ways by which we can have the learning outcomes. Maybe it's about time that we focus on project papers, action research, collaborative research. Gone are the days of requiring them to do feasibility study and industry study. That is no longer the trend now in doing accounting research. And then revised, this is also my dream. I hope again, NACPAE or maybe PICPA can try to lead on this. No? You need to revise the thesis or dissertation final output to a journal article paper output. This is already being done abroad rather than the traditional one of having 200, 300 pages and nobody reads. Because if you change it to this way, the output of the student in the masteral and dissertation level will right away be publishable. That's the advantage. And then require the inclusion of published articles by the faculty to be part of the syllabus as a required reading in the related course. I think many of you have published, but it ends up only in that journal and nobody uses it. My suggestion is at the department level or even at the college level, make a policy wherein the published, of course, in the peer-reviewed journals, that the article of the faculty can be used as a reading material. And then number 3, expand and reinforce research networks and collaboration. Particularly here, I am referring to you forming disciplinary or cross-functional research teams to collaborate with other faculty and practitioner researchers across departments or institutions. So what I meant here is, of course, there are faculty members, let's say in economics, in management, that you want to collaborate as accounting faculty, or accountancy faculty, or maybe even with other institutions. This is what we call now, maybe one school partnering with another school. CHED calls it twinning. Twinning so that you're able to do research, because I'll go to that one later on, because CHED funds researches when you twin one, let's say, deregulated and with an autonomous school. No? So there are fundings that are available. And then subsidize the membership of accountancy faculty and practitioners in professional organizations which have reputable scientific publication in conferences. I think many schools are doing this, but other schools, the smaller ones, I think you need to try to institutionalize this in your school, no? Where you fund you pay for the membership in professional organizations. And then this is actually my suggestion to PICPA Foundation and NACPAE. I think you can take a lead in this effort. You need to direct more resources to developing relationships with industry partners, especially in the area where you want to pursue your research niche. I think our reactors later on, the government is here, again, the academe, the industry. So I hope you will be able to take a lead along this line. And then we need to establish also an accountancy profession. This is my suggestion, profession research network or a consortia. This is again what is being encouraged by CHED to open up new possibilities to form research teams with the wide range of expertise and experiences. You can undertake research projects with big scope and with common interest. or you can share your resources, you can share experiences, and you can share data and people with local or international scope. And then harness social media and online research platforms. This is particularly in terms of strengthen the accountancy or practitioner researches online presence. I think you need to create, all of you, if you want to be a researcher, you need to create an account in Google Scholar, in the academia, and ResearchGate, and other research platforms. So your presence is felt, you are read. The FB Messenger and the Facebook, actually, it is not, strictly speaking, a scholarly platform. Okay, and then ensure that the institution's web page is up to date with the accountancy faculty or practitioner researchers' latest publications and research project. And then train the academic community and the industry accountancy practitioners on how to use scientific data and other resource database like Bloomberg, Osiris, the GEM, CBMS, for information research purposes. And you can use this really for doing research. Establish a new network using online and social media technology to link academics, particularly the faculty, the graduate students, and practitioners who are interested to do research and publish. And then you need to streamline structural and research management practices. Particularly, you need to provide clear institutional research goals and expectations for faculty, practitioner researchers, and other stakeholders in the accountancy research track. This can be done at the professional level. This can be done at the institutional level, especially the universities and colleges. You need to do strategic planning of your research. And then deload faculty in the teaching and or in the practitioner work assignments, to give uninterrupted time for research and publication work. In fact, in big universities, the sabbatical leave is used to do really to do research. And then sponsor or co-sponsor a regular accounting national and international research conference, which you are now doing. And then with a reputable professional organization, research university, government agency, or international organization. What I'm hoping is you can partner in the future with an international organization. And then have a quality research library by acquiring databases and installing quick electronic online search facilities. This is very helpful, especially for the beginners. And then lastly, actually, is of course, you need money. So here you need to set up a research foundation. I think with the PICPA Foundation, maybe it has been answered, but maybe in other schools, you need to set up a research foundation. UP has done this. They have a separate research foundation wherein they really fund researches in the particular areas of their interests or priorities. And then, as I've said earlier, you can avail of the large-scale government research funding programs from CHED and other government agencies. I think CHED right now funds, in terms of millions of money. They have plenty of money, but the problem is there are no proponents of the research fund, of the funding, And then explore other sources of funds like international research organizations that support particular types of research. What I can tell you now is the USAID, ILO, the World Bank, and the ASEAN network. There are plenty of money. It's just a matter of preparing your proposal. And then allocate adequate annual budget for accounting and research publication. I'm addressing it to the school and even to PICPA, NACPAE, and also the PICPA Foundation. And look for donors, sponsors from the industry that will support accounting research centers and name the center after them. So I think this is the strategy. For example, that's how AIM is doing it. They have a funder and they named the research center after the donor. Ateneo is doing it too. UP is doing it too, and then LaSalle is doing it too. So you can pattern it after these particular practices of the other schools. And then my final note is actually this. No, if you really want to have a good start in doing your research, or maybe you want to really cultivate doing research in the accountancy profession, my first final note is you need to make a commitment to balance your research, teaching, and practice of profession. You need to have a commitment to set clear and compelling research goal. You need to make a commitment to develop and update your research skill on a continuing basis. You need to engage other accountancy professionals to do research. And the last one is instill research in the heart of everyone. The first four is actually teaching the minds, but actually the last one is touching the heart. So with that, I would like to say, let accounting research make a difference in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adreline. And to provide us with additional inputs or some clarifications on the topic at hand, we have invited
I will stop sharing. Okay.
First, we have Dean Dr. Patricia M. Empleo, representing the education sector. Dean Pat.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, everyone, especially our Honorable Chair, Doc Noe, who has to leave early, probably because of an important commitment. Good morning, Dr. Adreline.
Good morning, ma'am.
A comprehensive discussion from re-emphasizing again the significance of research up to providing us strategic directions on how we could develop and sustain our research culture in the accountancy profession. Good morning also to President June Bato, our PICPA Foundation Chair Evelyn Corpus, Edis, Lita, and Lolita, our NACPA President Doc Alan, and of course our chair for this committee, Doc Flo. Our tasks have been changed really drastically as we now dare to do things that we have never done before, and we change the ways we do our usual tasks, as pointed out by Dr. Adreline. And she mentioned already one of the important research areas during this present time. Again, now more than ever, we face an unprecedented period of uncertainty that poses challenge to all sectors of society without exceptions. We need to do research and, as exposed, and for the administrators, manage the research activities of our constituents because, one, it is one of the domains in the competency framework as discussed by the Honorable Chair. It is mandated in the accounting programs, in all of the 4 accounting programs. And most importantly, it is one of the most effective ways of understanding business issues, a way of attaining success in what we do, and a basis to formulate policies and modify our practices and certainly craft new practices. However, we will not learn or we cannot maximize our learning opportunities unless we actually undertake as building the research culture of the accounting profession, as stated by Doc Alan, is long overdue. Based on my personal observation, I should say that there is no standard way or process by which we could manage the research programs of our units or our institutions. Managing the research activities depends really on the respective context of our institutions and our own circumstances. In fact, at our college, at the UST AMV College of Accountancy, I think we started embracing the need to venture into research a decade ago when the 2007 CMO provided options between internship and research. But after that decade, until now, we are still struggling, and in most instances, I would like to melt in my seat when during meetings, the research accomplishments of all academic units are being benchmarked. In spite of this 10-year research journey, our process or practices, I have to admit, are far from perfect. Annually, as we make our plans, we debrief, we synthesize, we plan anew, and we make modifications. I think, as Ma'am Edralyn pointed out, what is important is we acknowledge our deficiency and, in my own personal opinion, sometimes fail only to learn in the process. Accounting is a social science, and based on my humble observation, it is much more challenging to do research in this field compared to natural sciences. Am I correct, Dr. Edralyn?
Yes, ma'am.
Opo.
Opo.
As creators of knowledge and as our commitment to our stakeholders, also for our students, our public, we have to embrace and develop the long overdue research culture. I am glad that you have tackled the challenges of our research or building the research culture, focusing on some important items such as deloading our faculty members. That means we need to have a lot more accounting teachers who will undertake the research activities, the lack of specialization of our accounting teachers, and absence of strong research traditions. We knock now on the door of the PICPA and PICPA Foundation because Dr. Edralyn recommended having a professorial chair in accountancy, and probably after this research summit, the research committee will have to sit down again and review our proposed projects for this fiscal year and include the recommendation of Dr. Edralyn as to having a research or professorial chair for research. Also, I get interested on your recommendation that we have also to put up an accounting research center. That may be done through PICPA and PICPA Foundation. And therefore, I am glad that Ma'am Lolita Tang, Ma'am Evelyn Corpus, and Mr. Jun Bato, our PICPA president, are with us this morning. So probably, it may not be necessary for us to, as beginners, the most important element really, as Ma'am Edralyn has stated, is motivation. As long as the accounting practitioner is motivated to do research. So I am encouraging, therefore, every practitioner, accounting practitioner, to not be afraid and ask if necessary. Do not be afraid to fail because research actually, or conducting research, is a humbling experience. And as pointed out, sometimes we need to do collaboration. The beginners will have to collaborate with senior research practitioners and in the process learn from one another. I'm sure also that the senior research practitioners may also pick up some good practice from the new accounting practitioners or accounting researchers. Therefore, taking little steps with frequency probably may do us some achievements, may provide us some achievements in the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Pat. We invite as well to give her reaction on behalf of the public practice sector, Ms. Rosel Gomez.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can see me. So,
Morning.
all right. So, good morning, Dr. Edgerlin,
Good
our
morning.
honorable guests, President June, our PICPA Foundation Chair, Ms. Evelyn, also our EDs, Gita, Lolita, also our PICPA Research and Development Committee Chair, Dr. Flong Tugas, along with our NACPI Vice Chair, Sir Alan Silva. Good morning also fellow panelists and of course Dean Pat, Attorney Fidela, Sir Hill, and good morning to all our participants in today's summit and conference. So as an individual, I am fully aware about the research papers as this is a requisite for students to graduate, and I had also the opportunity to be one of the research panelists for the students' research papers. And I read some of them were very good. Okay, so they're very well researched. But I only get to appreciate it more, particularly the accounting research when I became a member of the PICPA Research and Development Committee. A number of very good and relevant researches have been published as presented in Sir Alan's slide earlier. But then I have noticed as well that while there were a number of initiatives to do research, only very limited numbers have been published. And more so that these research papers are typically, well, from what I have observed, are typically oriented towards other academics or other sectors. So rather than the practitioners or the public practice sectors. Or perhaps it's safe for me to say that very little of this accounting research is directed towards public practice. I have also asked Dr. Tugas, Dr. Flong, and I understand that there's no available information in terms of the statistics of this publicly available researches per sector. So perhaps at this point, the big part of our academic researches, our academic scholars can also focus on the public practice. Again, in reference to what Sir Alan Silva has shared earlier, the statistics of those who are involved in doing research vis-a-vis the total population. So I understand, if I recall it correctly, there's 32 out of the 500. So there's a big number out there that we can still mine. So in terms of the impact of the accounting research, I believe it has, Dr. Edgerlin has very much and aptly presented earlier the benefits of doing accounting research. So for the public practice, this accounting research can help us in further enhancing our the conduct of our business, and also help us prepare as it relates to the crafting of policies. So help our practice prepare on the relevant policies directed towards our accounting regulators. So of course, another good thing or benefit that will be coming out from this accounting research as it relates to our practice is helping us prepare our future professionals. So, and as mentioned by Dean Pat earlier, even during the academic years of our students, of our future professionals, we also have to inculcate in their DNA the research. Okay. However, as I've noticed and I have observed as a practitioner, so there's not much engagement actually between having this accounting research and the public practice. So as with other sectors, I believe there should be a continuous engagement. And also, as mentioned by Dr. Edgerlin earlier, there are these published researches, but how many of these researches actually go out to the respective sectors and have actually the opportunity to discuss in detail, to have a deeper collaboration in putting together and understanding the benefit or the value of the research to the particular sector, well, including the public practice. So I believe that it is important that there is that continuous engagement between the public practice and the academic community, the dissemination of the research findings, the results. So Dr. Edeline as well has mentioned earlier, at this day and age, we are all in a digital world. So we can also leverage on the different platforms that are available, the social media, among other things. And ultimately, engage everyone in a policy debate, which are all part of the research development. So, but it's also important that in having this policy, it doesn't stand alone. So there should be a continuous effort to revise it. Also enable for feedback and engagement. So I think that's also important to note. I just would like to cite a particular part in the article of James Guthrie, Roger Burritt, and Elaine Evans in their article entitled Bridging the Gap Between Academic Accounting Research and Professional Practice. So in their paper, they have actually concluded that the endemic lack of engagement between accounting scholars and the practice element of the profession serves as a substantial barrier for the leveraging of the comparative advantages. So essentially, the improvement in the quality, the relevance, timeliness, and impact of the accounting research, rather than the investment in the development and incremental methodical sophistication, are largely incumbent upon the strategy. So I guess at this point, everything that has been shared by Dr. Edeline are well put. There are also tips on how we can further improve our research. There are certain guidelines as well. So I think what we just need to do is to put it into practice and to maximize the having the network. So at this point, actually, I'd like to highlight the role of PICPA research and development, because this is a very good platform. So this is an initiative of the PICPA R&D committee, which our academic scholars can use. This platform can serve as a bridge for the academic researchers and practitioners to engage us more in the public practice, and for us to be able to help improve the quality of the academic researches. So there should be no hesitation to engage us, because I believe and everyone would know that once there is that appreciation, that awareness, then you can be very much assured that we will all put our hands on deck and help you come up with a quality research which will benefit not only the public practice sector, but all the other sectors in accounting. So also right now, so I'm very much excited, and I look forward to having more meaningful engagement of our academic scholars with the public practice, operate with synergy, as well as I look forward in the success of our accounting research program. So thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Maria Gomez, for your valuable inputs. And lastly, we call on Attorney Fidela Tan to share her reaction on behalf of the government sector.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, Dr. Edeline, to the officer of PICPA, and all those who are present in this webinar at Summit. I would like to share that in the Commission, I am with the Commission on Audit, and since 2000, the Commission on Audit has developed a program for its senior officers. It's called the Senior Executive Development Program. And in that program, one of the output is the preparation and defense of a policy paper where the participants are supposed to conduct a research on different policies affecting the operation of the government. And and many of the policies of the Commission on Audit were revised or updated, or new policies were issued because of the policy papers that were presented by these participants in the Senior Executive Development Program. Since the Commission is in charge of is mandated to promote accounting rules and auditing rules and regulations. So the accounting aspect and the auditing aspect may be the topic or included in the in the conduct of research. So thank you very much, Dr. Edralyn, for giving us a very good framework outlook on the conduct of research. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Attorney Tan. And at this point, we'd like to invite PICPA President Mr. Bato, Ms. Corpus, Mr. Tugas, Dr. Tugas, and Mr. Alan Silva to witness again the awarding of certificate to Dr. Edralyn and to our panel of reactors. I read the citation. Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, PICPA Foundation, National Association of CPAs in Education present this certificate of appreciation to Professor Divina M. Edralyn, Research Director and Vice President for Academics, San Beda University, for her invaluable contribution as keynote speaker during the second Joint National Accountancy Research Summit and Conference on October 19 to 20, given this 19th day of October 2020, signed Lope Bato Jr., President of PICPA, Evelyn Corpus, Chairman of the PICPA Foundation Incorporated, and Florence Tugas, President of NACPAE. So thank you once again, Dr. Edralyn. Thank you our reactors, Dr. Patricia Empleo, Maria Rosal Gomez, and Attorney Fidela Tan. Okay, we also have certificates for Professor Pat Empleo, Dean of the College of Accountancy, for her invaluable contribution as reactor during the second Joint National Accountancy Research and Conference on October 19 to 20, given this 19th day of October 2020. Dean Empleo, thank you very much. The same certificate is given to Ms. Maria Rosel Gomez, Partner in Risk Assurance IT Leader, PwC Isla Lipan and Company, for her invaluable contribution as reactor during this conference. Thank you. And lastly, the same certificate to Attorney Fidela Tan, Director for Internal Audit Office of the Commission on Audit, for her invaluable contribution as reactor during this research summit and conference. Congratulations and thank you. Okay, so there you have it. It has been a truly fruitful and meaningful morning for all of us. This ends day one morning session. Before you leave, we are requested again to accomplish the evaluation form being flashed on the screen later. We will see you at 1 in the afternoon for the accounting research presentation of our students from 3 accountancy schools. Have a hearty lunch. We'll see you in a while. Thank you.